We are back with Robert, and today we are talking about a favorite topic of location independent people, which would be tax benefits. So it's pretty well known that there's a lot of tax benefits around residency in Dubai, or not just Dubai, the United Arab Emirates as a whole. I think this is where the Emirates really started to take off and why they have an entire tech scene there and why they have a lot of digital nomads living there, retirees, high net worth individuals. Someone once told me it's the wealthy's playground, which is not untrue in my experience. What have you heard about it, Robert?
Well, right now, Dubai is attracting more millionaires and ultra high net worth individuals than most countries in the world. So I would say that what you've heard is true.
Yeah, yeah, and it's for good reason. It's perfect weather almost year round. You have a really hot summer, but the air conditioner managed to take care of it. Um, and you have water that you can go to if you would prefer. And and it's just a beautiful place. Everything's new, everything's sparkling. The people are beautiful. The lifestyle is healthy. It's really great. And but in order to take advantage of this, you do need to do a few things. You don't just show up and suddenly you have tax breaks. And so today we're going to talk about the benefits of establishing tax residency, and we're going to talk a little bit about the requirements as well. Okay. So before we get too deep into this, just want to talk about Dubai. Robert, Dubai is somewhere that you specialize. For anyone who's new to this podcast, if you want to just explain a little bit about what you've done in Dubai and why it's so interesting for you.
Absolutely. So I started my journey in Dubai back in 2018. And in doing so, my job was to sell Dubai real estate to Chinese investors. And 2018 was a great time for that because the Chinese government, as well as the residents of China, began to see Dubai as a lucrative investment opportunity and drive money there. And China allowed that to happen as well. China had capital restrictions on other places in the world, like the United States, where we were focused. So we managed to, switch our focus to Dubai. And since then, I've established relationships with some of the top developers in the market, government officials, hospitality brands, and all the different people and organizations that are going to be crucial to the success of our business, as well as the investors that come to invest with us in Dubai. And so now we just work exclusively with US clients to invest into Dubai. And we have several different options depending on what their strategy or criteria is, and whether it's moving here to live or just purchasing in Dubai for investment. We have solutions that meet that criteria. So
Amazing. Yeah. Okay, so now we get to talk about this is my favorite one of my favorite topics. I tell my friends like it's probably it's better than a good meal. It's better than a lot of things is talking about tax benefits or tax savings. Uh, and obviously you want to do this in a legal way. And so everything that we're talking about, for anyone who's doubtful, everything that we're talking about is 100% on the up and up. We're not talking about dodgy gray area tax saving strategies. This is step-by-step legal process for tax savings. It's a little bit different if you're American, because as most Americans know, you pay taxes. You pay taxes to the US anywhere in the world. But for most countries, if you move yourself to Dubai, you can really achieve an effective 0% tax rate or 9% if you open a business in Dubai. And so we'll talk through that. So the first thing, the process of let's just get. I would say what are some of talk me through, Robert? I imagine that you have a lot of people coming to you on a regular basis who are looking to establish tax residency in the Arab Emirates. What would you say are some of the benefits of this?
So the benefits of tax residency come with the no income tax, the no capital gains tax, and no inheritance tax. All these are taxes that are wielded upon, residents of countries and other countries, right? And so in Dubai, there are no taxes on you personally, right? Like you said, there is a 9% corporate tax, but you have to be a corporation and you have to earn over a certain revenue number in order to pay that tax. And so I would say that the benefits are, like we just mentioned, 0% tax. And as long as you're not a U.S. citizen, you can actually get away with paying 0% tax. But as you mentioned, being a U.S. citizen, you do have the U.S. to report back to. Dubai reports back to the U.S. So if you're going to be looking for tax incentives as a U.S. resident, there definitely are tax benefits, but they just have to be implemented in a legal manner and in a manner that can benefit you, even with U.S. residency.
Okay. Is one thing that I tell people, maybe I'm wrong in this. If you have, say you open a business, and just so that our listeners are clear, what is the threshold above which you do need to start reporting taxes in if you have a corporation?
I I don't know the exact number, but it's like 150,000 USD, maybe 190,000 USD, maybe 130,000 USD. It's over 100,000 USD, but under that number, you're not paying a corporate tax.
Okay. And I believe the U.S. is something personal income. If your personal income is below 120, 125, it changes every year. You also don't need to pay if there's a tax treaty, you don't need to pay taxes in the US. You could pay taxes where your residency is established. So for those who are listening who are keeping your income under 120, I would say you can effectively hit, even if you're American, you can effectively hit a 0% tax rate. Does that sound right, Robert?
If you've heard that, then I believe your source. It's not something that I've looked into. Most of the clients that are buying from the U.S. are buying for investment. Few are buying for tax. We do have investors that purchase specifically for tax benefits, and they do find ways to benefit from those tax incentives provided by by Dubai. But I'm not sure if you can get away if it's under a certain amount of money. So I'd have to look into that further.
Yeah. Um, okay, so let's talk through setting up your tax residency in Dubai. And this is actually someone was asking me yesterday. They're looking at purchasing a property in Dubai, and they said, why isn't everyone doing this? And it's the Emirates are trying to make it easy particularly for location independent and high net worth individuals to come and make their home in the Emirates. And in making this happen, they actually changed the laws. I want to say in 2023. Yeah, in March of 2023, they changed the laws. I was digging into this yesterday. There are three ways to establish tax residency. One would be that you're in the Arab Emirates at least half the year. This is probably the easiest. 183 days. You've hit 183 days. A lot of countries have the same. I know Spain has this. I'm trying to think of other countries. Germany has this. If you're more than 100, the Puerto Rico has this. If you're more than 183 days in a country or a municipality, you have tax residency there. If you are there less than 183 days, they have a specific bracket, which is 90 days. 90 days would be you've been physically present for at least 90 days in a 12-month period, and you're a citizen resident for Gulf Cooperation Council. So in order to hit that residency, you would invest in real estate. And do you know what that real estate number looks like to get UAE residency?
Okay, so it's 2 million dirhams, which is right around 545, 550,000 USD. And that's going to get you the 10-year golden visa. There are visas that require less investment and that are less amount of time. And they did change some laws to where it used to be that you'd have to buy a property that was already completed or 50% or more completed to qualify for that or visa, 10-year visa. Now it's just a total of 2 million dirhams worth of property, right? And so that definitely opens the door for a lot more investors. And I would say that if you have the idea of purchasing real estate to benefit from the tax and the visa to get those tax benefits, then you're going to probably want to spend around $550,000. You're going to get the best returns in that price range compared to if you went to like the $200,000 price point. And again, you wouldn't benefit from the 10-year golden visa. The 10-year golden visa is great because most visas require you to stay in the country for a certain amount of time, and you can only you have to come back, leave and come back. In this instance, you don't have those limitations. You can come and go as you please, and that's very beneficial. In addition, you get to qualify your either husband or your wife or your partner, as well as your children and a driver and help. So
Okay. So,
yeah.
and we all know part of the Emirati lifestyle is having all of the above, which is It is the
Yes.
Maltese playground. And so it's a beautiful place. It's a fun place to be. And so this, like I said, they really want to attract location independent people. And this has been, as someone who lived location independent for 6 years, I can say, matter of factly, this is really hard. A lot of people, a lot of countries have not caught up with the idea that there are people in the world who don't have a home. We're not poor, we're not homeless. We just don't have a permanent residency. And so what they created for this is third bracket, where you don't need to be any period of time in the Emirates, but you do need to prove that your center of life is in the Emirates. How do you prove your center of life is in the Emirates? You have business, you do business, you have friends, you have activities, you have family, your residence is there. And these are all things, obviously, we can't help you with your friends. So we can't help you with your activities. We can make some suggestions. But where we really come in to help is making sure that you have that residency there. And does this mean you need to stay there or invest in a place that you're not going to live? Robert?
So you can, like you said, you can access certain types of visas that don't require to purchase a real estate, and they may limit you in terms of how long you can stay there, how many times you can come and go, and so forth. But it's all possible. And they have zones where you can start a business. Now, if you're going to be a freelancer or a nomad, then you're not so much worried about getting a work visa. But if you plan on working in Dubai and making money in Dubai from people, companies in Dubai or the UAE, you need to apply for a visa. And you would, either the company you're working for would provide you the ability to put a visa under their company, or you could go out and start your own business and purchase a visa. And they have different, like a freehold zone. They have the same type of zones for people who want to start a business, right?
Right. Okay. Um, so I can tell you, as someone who's been location independent, there comes a point in your life when you don't want to 100% live out of a backpack or a suitcase or whatever you're living out of. And so I've transitioned to a more hybrid lifestyle, which is where you have a home, you have a place that you come back to, you open your closet doors, and there are your things. But you're also traveling a lot. And this is where I think the third visa, or this third, not visa, but this third and a tax residency was created. And this is where Robert and I come together in a great way to help you create the right portfolio for yourself. So this is where you're investing in real estate. It becomes your quote place of residency, whether or not you're there. But then obviously no one who's money savvy wants to just sit on an empty apartment. We help you set up that property so that it's cash flowing. In addition to being your established place of residence, it cash flows. It qualifies you for that 0% personal income tax status. And this is something that, in addition to solving a lot of problems for full-time travelers or part-time travelers, um, or really anyone who kind of wants to live that location independent lifestyle, and you're, in addition to that, making, I think, Robert, we normally see something like 20-30% annual return on investment. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the average return on investment across all of Dubai is between 18 and 20%, right? So there are places that only appreciate 4 to 5%, and you can find those places and get caught up there. But if you choose the right location at the right time and the right development, you can see anywhere between 18, 20+% capital return. We've had projects that paid out over 80 to 100% capital return. So, but it all depends on the location and the developer and the timing in the market. So.
Yes, and this is where RAC, if you've ever heard of RAC, is someplace that's been hot on our map. We've been
Yes.
tracking it closely, and this is where we believe in the next 3 years, if you were to buy they're a little bit more affordable properties. So if you're really doing this just for the tax benefits, it's a great place to go. If you have family, if you prefer less of a city lifestyle, if you want to hang out on the water, you're on the Gulf. Um, this is where we have a few neighborhoods, a few partnerships where we're really plugging, where we're plugging our clients in, because there's a lot of development happening, and we can talk about that later. I think we talked about it, or we will talk about it on another podcast. But there's so much development happening that most people believe pretty well that there's going to be something close to a 50% return on investment if you were to buy now and sell in 3 years. And again, this is another way to get you into that 0% tax bracket. If you wanted to invest 250,000 now, sell it in 3 years, and then reinvest it, you hit that 500,000, right? Even if you didn't initially have 500,000 to invest. And I don't want to talk about that too much. Um, that's not what we're getting into in this. But can you talk me through some of the other benefits of the safety benefits, the family benefits, the lifestyle benefits of having Dubai residency?
Yeah, so I mean, getting a Dubai residency is key because of the main aspect is benefiting from the tax benefits, right? But then all the other aspects of being a citizen in one of the fastest growing cities in the world and the fifth safest city in the world, maybe even the fourth now, and the highest capital appreciation and rental returns, short term and long term in the world. You have all these benefits that are there for the person that may be an investor, right? But then let's talk about just the quality of life. I can walk down the street with my watch on and not have to worry about anybody stealing it from me. I can leave my keys in my car while it's turned on. Many times in Dubai, I'm running late for a meeting and I park the car, leave the key and the AC on because it's hot outside, and I go to my meeting for an hour and I come back, the car's still there, the car's still on, nothing's taken out of the car, and I get in my car and drive off. Um, the people are some of the nicest people you'll meet in the world, and the hospitality is some of the best that you'll ever receive in the world. There's so many benefits. There is no competition on the global market for Dubai. That Dubai doesn't have competition, and I know that sounds maybe biased coming from my mouth, but the data speaks for itself, and I'm a data-driven person, and so that's why I'm fully invested into Dubai and the UAE. It's because of the growth that has taken place and that will continue to take place, and the quality of life is one of the key drivers in that growth, and you're not going to find that same quality of life anywhere else in the modern world.
Yeah, and I'm going to go less into the data side, but more into they say that you are the five people that you surround yourself with. And I've experienced so many times as a traveler especially when I was a full-time traveler, sometimes you get caught up and you're surrounding yourself with people who are maybe wandering the world, don't really know what they want to do. You're in beautiful places like Bali. Bali tends to attract a lot of lost souls. And if you do switch to that more hybrid lifestyle where you're maybe having a home and then traveling a lot, a place like Dubai is a great place to make a home because you're surrounding yourself with if you're like me, and you want to shoot for the stars, and you want to achieve your goals, you're a goal-driven person, you're surrounding yourself with people who are like-minded. You're surrounding yourself, and you can choose it doesn't need to be wealth. It can be fitness, it can be lifestyle, it can be, well, it could be anything. So this Dubai tends to attract really driven people, and these people are essentially who become your community. And there's so many different communities there. There are fitness communities, there are religious communities. Even though the Emirates are a Muslim country, they have every religious community you can possibly imagine. That perhaps not every, but I would say the major religions are covered there. Um, and including the Jewish community, which is, in contrast, sometimes we hear about the Middle East and things like this, and I definitely don't want to get into that. But there's a strong Jewish community, there's a strong Christian community, there's a strong fitness community, there's a strong music community. You find your community there. So these are, ways that you can really create the life you want for yourself.
And you just said a community. I mean, that's the main word when I think about Dubai is community. And because, like, for instance, you and I want to do business in the US or the EU. We go out to do business and we want a yes or a no. That's it. In Dubai, it's different. You're building relationships, right? With that
Yeah,
community, with that person. Then you decide if you want to do business, right?
right. Yeah.
That's huge, right?
Yeah.
Everywhere in the world, it's like pay me, and if you're not going to pay me, I don't want to be your friend. And Dubai is like, let's be
I don't want to
friends
say that's
first.
who I am, but I'm
No,
definitely
it's
more
human
of a
nature. We're humans and we're very transactional, right? And so it's just part
um
of being human.
yeah.
And so I would say that where Dubai is transactional, it's there you build the relationship before you transact money, right? And that to me is a key factor for the way that I like to do business and build friendships and new relationships.
Yeah. And let's talk quickly about the real estate market. We dive much deeper into this in other podcasts. So I don't want to go too far into it. But we talked a little bit about the returns that you're seeing. We talked a little bit about LAC, which is, if you've not heard of it, please reach out to me. Or reach out to Robert. This is something where we're seeing just incredible change. Like I said, you imagine Dubai, you imagine high rises, you imagine city life, party life, dining life. The food is incredible. But if you head over to Raft, you're going to see a different picture. You're going to see golf.
Completely different picture.
It's a little bit.
You're not only going to see that, you're going to see people that you're used to seeing in the EU. Iraq has got a huge population of Europeans, Brazilians. You'd be surprised. There's less. Yeah, and you would see there's less Indian and Pakistani and Arab individuals in Iraq compared. Right, so Iraq is kind of like this place where you've got these people coming from the EU. They're all hanging out. It's a beach town. It's very, very, very beautiful. And it does have a casino coming. And so like that is the reason why Iraq will be what Iraq is going to be and what it is now, is because of the Wynn Casino. Now that emirate has 2 years exclusivity, right? Each emirate will have the ability to open up their own casino. But Wynn has 2 years exclusivity. So for the next 2 years, once it's complete, no one will else be able to open another casino. But once that 2 years is up, then other emirates will open up their casino. And if that emirate offers more than Iraq, then it could take away from Iraq. And so these are things that you have to look out for. But for the next 3 to 5 years, Iraq is the investment if you're looking to come in at a lower cost and exit at a higher cost. And, you can get a unit right now for $100,000. You can rent it out for, say, $2,000 a month. Where else are you going to get $2,000 a month? Even if you rented it out for $1,500 a month, where are you going to get that rental return on a $100,000 mortgage? Nowhere. And so Airbnb right now is paying about $30 to $50 a night. Once that Wynn Casino opens up, it's 10 minutes from Wynn, right? You can imagine that those Airbnb pricing will go up to at least $150 plus a night. Okay. So then you increase your rental return without having to sell it. And then you hold on to it. And then right before Wynn loses their exclusivity, you sell it and you move on to the next one.
Yes. And this is where, yeah. And so this is where we're advising you. And I want to touch on a couple of points. When you look at the Airbnb averages of a place, 30 to 50 a night is not a number that's interesting. I would never advise you to purchase that property unless you had other reasons for purchasing it. But I looked at it and I also saw that there's room for easily with the 3-bedroom hitting closer to €300 per night, which is getting you much into the more interesting income. And how do you achieve that? You set it up properly. And how do you set it up properly? You call me for consultation. This is what we do. So the partnerships together, we're setting you up, making sure that your property is bringing in higher than average returns. We're setting you up with a property that's going to get you a good return on investment. I can tell you right now, same amount of work if you're making $1,000 a month as it is if you're making $10,000 a month. We want you to hit that 10,000 mark when you can. Of course, your budget is a limiting factor, but then you're reaching out to Robert, and Robert is working. Robert and his team are amazing, and they're on the pulse of everything. They're the ones who are telling you, listen, you need to start selling in the next 6 months. We know that like now is the time that they're about to lose their exclusivity, or you want to make sure that you're following all of their guidance. And this is where becoming part of our family is just making sure that you're getting all of that information in a timely manner. And we want you to continue to start working with us and to continue to grow your wealth with us.
And that speaks to why we've decided to work with you, Michelle, and your team, is because you just said it. You just proved why we work with you. I said that the Airbnbs right now get $30 to $50 a night, and when Michelle comes in and puts her touch on it, she's now getting $300 a night. And it may have been in the same area, might have been a different unit, like she said, 3 bedrooms. But bottom line is she's figured out ways to come into these rentals and increase the probability of success and profitability based on her knowledge, her global knowledge of managing properties. And so I think that it's huge to have someone like Michelle on your side if you're planning on investing overseas, because her and her team have taken so much of the legwork out of investing and the stress. And literally it's almost turnkey. So
Actually, I will say that we created a turnkey service. So if you are leaning toward buying a property and renting it full time, this is genuinely a turnkey service. There's a little bit of work at the beginning to get off the ground, especially the first time we're working together. But once we know how you work, we can literally buy and sell properties. Almost all we need is your permission. And this is where we're setting up properties. We're doing everything for you, and you're just seeing the money coming in every month. And I do want to wrap up really quickly, but before I wrap up, are there any other legal and financial considerations that you think people want to talk about? I do want to highlight for anyone who's considering investing in the Emirates, but maybe a little bit hesitant. Like Robert said, we were able to secure a few of those $100,000 properties. These are really good other properties, and we can definitely double, triple, quadruple, exponentially your wealth with these properties. Is it something that you're interested in? I don't know that you're going to be happy with the result on if you're renting it short term. So we can also connect you with other listeners to make like in a way that you're investing together, that you're co-investing in these properties, and you're able to possibly hit those $500,000 purchases. Robert, if someone were to partner with, say, 4 other people, and the 5 of them together buy a $500,000 property, does that qualify all of them for the residency, or would they need to each invest 500,000?
Each individual would need to invest around 550,000 in order to qualify for the visa. But if 5 people came together and that property was over 550, one of those individuals could qualify for the visa.
Right.
Okay, so yes.
So
So
that's one
you
way.
and your 5 friends
Yeah.
decide who needs it the most.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you and your 5 friends would be put on a
You could go start an LLC if you chose to, but you don't have to. And that's the joy of being able to buy in Dubai or the UAE, is that you can buy the property. You don't have to go get an LLC to put it in. A lot of people do that for tax purposes, right? So when you have a tax shelter, you don't have to worry about that. And so all 5 people would go on the deed, and you all now 5 own your prospective piece of the property. So I would say this: if you're looking to invest into the UAE, all you need to be able to do is enter the country legally, right? So your passport needs to be valid and all of that. You don't have to get a visa. You get a visa on arrival, and that lasts. And I go back and forth all the time until I got my visa. I had no problems, right? Then once you're there, you find your property. We do suggest, whether you reach out to Michelle and I, or you reach out to somebody who knows what they're doing. And be careful, because it's a large population, and there's any large population, you're going to find people who are not doing business the way that they should be doing business, and they're just there for themselves. And you have to look out for that in any market, including Dubai. So make sure you find the right people. And once you find the right people, they should guide you in the right direction, bring you to the right properties, showcase the different benefits of investing in different areas, understanding your search criteria. Are you looking for luxury? Are you looking for commercial? Are you looking to buy and hold land? Are you looking to just buy something and rent it out? Those are all different factors that are going to determine where we take you and invest your money. And then once we find the property, you're going to put 24% down you're going to put 20% down most of the time anyways, but remember, there's a 4% DLD tax that's on top of it. So you're always paying 104%, right? So you put your down payment. Now, if you're buying from the developer, you're going to finance with the developer. You're going to put 24% down, and you're going to make quarterly payments of 4 to 5%, right? Up until handover, and then you'll pay the remaining balance of 20 or 30%. If you're going to get a mortgage, you can put 20% to 50% down. If you're international, there's mortgage offerings within Dubai or the UAE. There's also international mortgage offerings. And based on that, will determine how much money you put down, but you'll put something down and you'll purchase the property. You'll register that property with the DLD. Once it's registered with the DLD, you now own the property, and you can start benefiting from the tax incentives, right? And then if you're choosing on investing or renting it out, you speak to Michelle, and that's another process that we could go over, but there's not enough time in this call today. So
actually, we have another podcast, so if you look back at our old podcast, you can talk through that. But everything that we do is personalized anyway, so the podcast is just for you to educate yourself. Again, you don't have to work with us, but if you did want to work with us, I'm always happy to take a call, whether or not you choose to work with us. If you want to do it yourself, or get advice, or just have a conversation, I love taking those phone calls.
I always say knowledge is free, so I'm happy to share it.
Robert,
at least from me.
Thank you so much. Robert, thank you so much as always, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Michelle. It's always my pleasure.
Okay.